Versus welcomes you to breakfast in Brazil, the restart of what we began yesterday, the fourth race of the 2011 IZOD IndyCar season, the Itaipava Sao Paulo Indy 300. The good news, it's not raining. The bad news is there's a 70% chance of rain. Temperature is in the 60s right now, high humidity, but again, no rain. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Wally Dallenbach, Jan Beekes, and Robin Miller with Kevin Lee down on pit lane. Well, yesterday, before the heavy rain began and postponed this race to today, there were a few laps run, and Jan Beekes has the highlights.
Of course, Bob, the race was started in very wet conditions, and right from the get-go, Ryan Hunter-Reay cannot get it stopped in turn number 1, gets on the paint. If you take the view from Will Power, you can certainly see that front lockup for Ryan Hunter-Reay. While he was going through the tires, in the background, Helio Castroneves with heavy contact up against the wall, and then it backed up. Simona De Silvestro right into the back. Danica Patrick also involved. Tony Kanaan looking off the back, goes by, looks like he was unscathed, but he clipped the car of Danica Patrick, which injured his hand and brought his car and, of course, his countryman, Helio Castroneves, to pit road. On the restart, Scott Dixon in second position, gets on the power, it loops around. He said afterwards he thought he caught the curb. It doesn't look like it, but that was the case for Sebastian Bourdais, who does a pirouette. Off the back of Vitor Meira, you can see that both Hinchcliffe and Justin Wilson also involved in incidents on that restart. Now, on lap number 8, it really started raining. Sebastian Bourdais does a 360 coming off of turn number 2, and then front brake failure for Vitor Meira, a heavy crash for him. Thankfully, he was okay, but that car was severely damaged. On the power, Ryan Hunter-Reay, whoa, I think I have it saved. I don't. And unfortunately for him, rear wing damage, which brought him onto pit road, and they had to effect repairs. The red flag meant that no teams could work on their cars for a while, but then they could, and they tried to restart. They never actually took the green, but they ran behind the pace car, which was no big deal for everyone except for Mike Conway. These laps counted. He came to a stop with an electrical problem. He's going to start at the front and get the wave round. He stays on the lead lap.
And so here are the top 10 at the end of 14 laps. Will Power, our pole sitter, has led all the way. Charlie Kimball has gained 11 spots. Alex Tagliani 12, and Sebastian Saavedra has gained 13. Here's some drivers who had damaged cars, but repairs have been made. They're restarting, but they are laps down. Not included in that list, Vitor Meira and Simona De Silvestro. Jan, how has the strategy changed, if at all?
The reason that the strategy has changed is they allowed them overnight to fill the cars up with fuel. So the pit windows, 21 to 40, 48 to 67. I should note, when this restarts, it'll be lap 15. So therefore, only 6 laps until the pit windows open. And if you get some caution, this turns into a one-stop race.
Yeah, I see what, yeah.
Yes,
well,
you do.
Part of the track was dry. You get over here on this part, Kevin, looks like it's raining somewhere.
Yeah, it just started right on cue, right when the cars rolled off, started to sprinkle. Now it's a pretty steady rain again. I'm at the 6th pit where Tim Cindric has moved over to call Ryan Briscoe's race. Roger Penske headed back to the States last night because of a board meeting. Now there's something going on there. Well, they're going to change to the rain tires, obviously. They're coming in the 6th pit, and others are starting to set up as well. This will be the first time in Helio Castroneves' Team Penske career that Tim Cindric has not been on his stand. He's multiple laps down. John Boslog, who is the new team manager, he's been with Penske since 1987, is calling a race for the first time. They felt like this was a great time to get him some experience. Not very much pressure on Castroneves' race today.
And the green flag is out. The Sao Paulo Indy 300 underway. We have rain, and let's see how things go in turn number 1. Hopefully everybody's going to be very, very cautious.
And this is on slicks.
I can't believe they threw the green flag with these guys on slicks on a wet racetrack.
But you can still dive onto pit road. They have not got to the pit entrance yet. It's not on the main straightaway, so let's see if anyone peels off. It'll be the next opportunity. There they go. They're all hitting pit road for wet tires. Woo, baby.
Exciting.
Let's take a green and go straight to the pits.
And even a spray coming off the back of the car. So this is more than just a sprinkle. It is definitely a rain.
And you see Viso just made an overtaking maneuver. You can pass until you get to that bridge. That was legal. That was pretty wise.
Down to Kevin Lee, who's in the Briscoe pit.
Ryan Briscoe is in his pit stall. Will Power, the leader, went by. He's all the way at the end. Briscoe, because he qualified 10th, I think that 12th at Long Beach, is in the middle. Briscoe is out, so we'll watch and see how they come back out as everybody changes to rain tires on pit road here in Brazil.
Boy, the timing was just wrong, wasn't it? As soon as the cars were on the pace lap, getting set for the green, we had the rain start falling.
I've never seen that before. That was actually pretty cool. You know, to start them on dries, and then you have to get to your pit.
Yeah.
But that's pretty interesting. Interesting way of doing it.
Will Power has beat everybody out of the pits. That's Ryan Briscoe in the yellow car running in second position. There is the third place car, the green car of Takuma Sato from KV Racing Technology. On board with Ryan Briscoe, the IZOD onboard camera. And a little bit of rain is going to make things interesting. Let's hope it doesn't downpour and get the track really wet.
Next thing is they're spread out enough to where you can get some visibility. It's not like if you started them all side by side. You know, they're spread out, and it's not pouring down rain either.
There's Graham Rahal. Right behind him is Dario Franchitti. Everybody being very, very cautious at this point.
Hinchcliffe coming through. J.R. Hildebrand. Here's a move. Here comes Marco up the inside of Tagliani.
Now, this race will probably not go the distance. In fact, that's pretty certain. It is a timed race, and the time started with 1 hour and 19 minutes to go. So this is going to be a short race. It's going to be like the feature, Robin, at Eldora. Instead of
this is a 12-lap semi, Bobby.
Look at Franchitti here. He's sizing up Rahal. He's trying to get to a point where he can take a look and make a pass under braking.
Let's see if he goes to the inside and makes the maneuver on Graham Rahal. Dario Franchitti in the 10 car takes the position from Rahal, and Franchitti moves up to 4th.
Graham Rahal saw him coming. You can see him looking over, making sure he gave Dario room, not just because he's the champion, but because they've learned their lessons, and that, you know, when it's this slippery, you got to give people room when they're trying to make moves. And of course, he's a satellite teammate to Graham Rahal.
Dario also the points leader going into this race, and Kevin Lee has a report on Simona.
There was contact on pit lane. I am told by Keith Wiggins, Simona Di Silvestro's car owner, that when she was coming in, Charlie Kimball was coming out. They made contact. It spun Simona around, did some damage on the side pod. No damage to the nose cone, so they did not change that, but they had to spin her back around, and she's going all the way to the back. She wasn't in position to win this race anyway, multiple laps down, but it just adds to the frustrations of the weekend for the 78 team.
Graham Rahal loses another position. That was Alex Tagliani that went to the inside of Graham in that white and black car. Tagliani now moves up to 5th position. Rahal to 6th, and right behind Rahal now, or rather, yeah, Rahal now is Marco Andretti.
And it makes you wonder when we spoke, and here comes Marco. He goes up the inside. Look out, that's tight through there. I was going to say that Graham Rahal said yesterday that he would not go with a wet setup, that he would stay with a dry setup, even if he thought there was forecast. Marco's not done.
Marco moves to the inside of Rahal. Marco in the 26th Venom-sponsored car, and he is going to pick up another position. So Graham Rahal is losing spots here as Sato has taken over 2nd place from Ryan Briscoe. Charlie Kimball is on pit lane. Takuma Sato in the Lotus-sponsored green car running in 2nd position now, on board with Briscoe, now back to 3rd.
Wow. Takuma Sato.
How about that? This is the IZOD onboard camera for Ryan Briscoe.
And you see how Sato went wide? That's a rain technique, that you stay wide and stay off of the apexes to find some additional grip.
Kevin has more on Charlie Kimball that we saw in pit lane.
Well, we mentioned the contact between her and Simona, and next time around, Kimball came back in. Not substantial damage to the wing and the nose cone, but there was damage, so they changed that out, and he's back out.
And And Marco Andretti picks up another position, this time to the outside of Tagliani. We've got a lot of passing going on here on a very wet racetrack. So Marco Andretti up to 5th.
Yeah, his car looks like it's working really, really good in the rain right now. Got a lot of grip.
There's Marco, again in the black and red car. Tagliani behind him, then Rahal, and then E.J. Viso moving up to 8th position. That's a team car to Takuma Sato, who's currently running in 2nd spot.
Having gained Viso 18 positions from his original starting spot, we saw he got one of them coming into pit road, which was pretty clever. He did it before the pit speed limit.
And again, we remind you that he started dead last on the field because of a crash in Saturday practice. Now Graham Rahal moving to the inside of Alex Tagliani, and Rahal will get back 1 position. Rahal in the 38 car. We're seeing more passing than we do on a dry racetrack.
Well, don't forget last year's race, 93 passes in the event itself. So wet or dry, this happens just to be a great racetrack for overtaking.
You know who else got back in the picture, fellas? Look where old Scott Dixon is.
Yeah, Scott Dixon up to 9th position. There's Will Power, who has stretched out the advantage rather comfortably. You don't even see the 2nd place car. It is Takuma Sato. Oh, and look at, wow, he came very close to banging the wall hard enough to do some damage.
The banner stayed on, so he may have escaped that one.
There's the interval between 1st and 2nd position. Now, we didn't see the pass that Takuma Sato made, but here it is.
Into turn 5. And Briscoe certainly waits. Briscoe certainly, and that's, of course, where Briscoe was leading and crashed last year. And here comes Viso.
That's E.J. Viso moving up to 6th position, make it 7th position. From 26th, he moves up to 7th. Nice run for E.J. Viso in the early part of our postponed from yesterday Sao Paulo Indy 300 from the streets of Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Sao Paulo Indy 300 on Versus is brought to you by Izod, the official apparel of the Izod IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. The world of Izod.
I've been pushing food around to make it look like I ate it since before I could walk. If only Mom knew about Kraft home-style macaroni and cheese. I'd be pushing creamy, delicious, oven-baked mac and cheese into my pie hole. But hey, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Good job, kiddo. Looks like you really like my cooking.
Yeah, yummy.
Kraft Homestyle Macaroni and Cheese. Cheesy noodles topped with golden brown breadcrumbs. You know you love it.
Craig Burnett, lead chemist.
Professionals and car enthusiasts all talk about how well Mother's Clay Bar works. You may think your paint is clean, but a simple touch will tell you otherwise. If the surface is not smooth as glass, you need the Clay Bar. Just spray, clay, and wipe away. Our Clay Bar shears off and removes harmful embedded contaminants, leaving your paint perfectly smooth and clean, paving the way for final waxing. Mother's Clay Bar system. More value, more clay.
Make a wish!
Happy birthday, Todd.
It's for a cough. From allergies. Halls relieves coughs and sore throats due to allergies, too. Now you know.
Flyers, Game 2 tonight.
You saw on Versus nonstop the reason for our first full course caution here at Sao Paulo. Sebastian Bourdais into the tires, and we also saw Ryan Hunter-Reay spin in just about the same location of the racetrack that he spun yesterday and damaged the car.
I wonder why Bourdais out of the car. He's got no damage to it. He must have some kind of a other problem with the car, because normally you just fire it back up and go.
So he does have some damage.
Yes, he does. He does have some rear wing damage.
That's only a few hundred yards down from where he hit in the very same fashion yesterday. Same kind of damage.
Yep.
Man.
All right, with the caution out, we go down to Kevin Lee on pit lane for a report. Kevin?
Thank you, Bob. Jimmy Vasser calls the race for Takuma Sato. You're happy about the rain. I know he said he wanted it to rain today.
Yeah, he did, and he's showing that he's pretty darn good at it. So, you know, it's still early, and these conditions are going to be changing off and on. It's going to be a very, very difficult race. So, you know, he's doing a great job, and
he's got to go back to work here.
Thank you. Yeah, he's doing good. We'll see how it comes out.
All right, Jimmy Vasser sitting in second place with Takuma Sato with the Lotus team.
So, two of the KV cars, namely Takuma Sato and EJ Viso, running in the top 7 here. Sato is second, and Viso is in 7th position. Full course caution, the field packing up behind the pace car. That's Ryan Briscoe in the yellow car running in 3rd position. Dario Franchitti behind him. Then Marco Andretti, Rahal, Viso, Dixon, Serbia, and Wilson are in the top 10.
Now, during the break, Robin was asking me, what about onboard starters? What can you do for the future when guys have spins and now can't get restarted? They're not going to go with an onboard starter with the new car, but myself and a lot of people have talked to Tony Kottman about no stall technology. They use it in other series, and that is it has a wheel speed sensor. As soon as it looks like it's going to stall, it electronically releases the clutch and keeps it running. So you don't have to necessarily have a starter, but you can keep the car running in those kind of spins, and the guy can rejoin.
EJ Viso has gained 19 spots since the start of the race yesterday. Kevin Lee has a report on EJ.
And EJ felt good about his car coming into the weekend after the practice sessions. Felt like it had a good balance, felt like it was quick, but the brake line broke in the second practice session, and he had no opportunity to save the car and ran past the turn 11 hairpin with a great deal of force. They totaled that car. They had to go to the backup and didn't have time to qualify, so he started from the back. EJ obviously feels awful about the types of issues that they've had this season with damaged race cars. Last night, walking through the garage at around 10 o'clock, he was spotted helping the team polish wheels, get the car ready, out there showing support for his guys, and so far it's paying off today.
And Kevin, if you have another opportunity to talk to Jimmy Vasser or someone on KV, I'd love to know if they decided overnight to go with a wet setup, because we see how racy Takuma is. We've seen, as you just documented, how EJ Viso is flying through the field, and that would be something that the teams may have gambled with. I'd love to know if that's the direction they went.
And Wally, you talked yesterday about what a wet setup is.
That is the direction they went.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Good.
All right.
Right. And Bob, that is the direction they went. They were planning on a wet, so they went for the wet setup. Talking to some other teams, a lot of them kind of went 50-50 because we didn't really know what the forecast was. It was 40 to 50% chance of rain, so they kind of split it down in the middle with their downforce levels. By the way, I can report now it has stopped raining, but regardless, it's going to be wet this entire race. Ryan Hunter-Reay, by the way, is coming in here in just a moment.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's
riding on board.
A wing to fix in the back. Yeah, what they've done is they've softened the cars up, put a ton of downforce in it, probably changed their camber and toe. All these things to give the car more, probably unhook the bars, the sway bars, and what you do is you soften the car up. That gives you more bite, more grip in the rain, and that's what you're trying to do. Now, if it does dry out, you're toast. That's, the downside, but it's worth the gamble. I mean, the way the weather's been there for, yesterday and today, hey, why not go for it?
Ryan Hunter-Reay has had an interesting couple of days. He spun recently and damaged the rear of the car and had to make a pit stop. We'll be back with more of our coverage of the Sao Paulo Indy 300 on Versus. On the streets of Sao Paulo, Brazil today for the rescheduled Sao Paulo Indy 300. Less than 3 weeks away from pole day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Saturday, May 21st will be on from 11 to 2:30 and then again from 4:30 to 6:30. Sunday, bump day, May 22nd, noon until 6:30, and then Friday, carb day, 11 to 4, with coverage including the Firestone Indy Lights Freedom 100. And don't forget our weekly show, IndyCar Open Wheel Weekly, premieres tomorrow, Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.
And I will now say, with this rain and with this yellow, they have fulfilled the obligation, so to speak, to make it a one-stop race. Yep. So the windows have widened, and so don't expect anyone on pit road for a while. They're going to wait and wait until they know for sure they can make it to the end.
Just about 1 hour remaining in this race, and the lights atop the pace car are out. It will be exiting the racetrack and will be going back to green.
Now, I should say the leaders. There'll be a few people that are at the back of the group right now.
Yep.
Go ahead, get on pit road, and in case there's heaps and heaps of yellow and rain, take some fuel just in case.
In fact, we saw Danica Patrick while we were in break make a pit stop. She is running back in the 26th position because of that pit stop.
And they took fuel, but they also added wings. So that was exactly what Wally was just talking about. They took the opportunity as long as they went on the pit road, adding wing, of course, adding downforce, adding grip in these kind of slippery conditions. Wally just talking about, you want a car that's compliant, you want a car that rolls, that you have a feel for it, and lots of downforce. And I'll have to say, Graham Rahal was pretty adamant yesterday that he probably would not go with a wet setup, and I think that's hurting him now. He just comes through the screen in a Service Central car, and he's been eaten up by people on wet setups.
This is Ryan Hunter-Reay, but he has a Conway wing on the back of it. His Andretti Autosport teammate. Down to Kevin Lee once again from a report.
Well, one theory is that because of the wet conditions and the uncertainty, Graham Rahal, for example, was told to save fuel, and there is a chance they might be able to do this without a stop.
Well, I suppose if it continues behind the pace car and it's a timed race, the race keeps shortening.
That helps everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody can do it, right?
Well, unless somebody's saving fuel. You never know. It all just totally dependent on how much green you get.
Look at Sato getting up there and saying, "Will, I'm right here." It's going to be interesting to see if Takuma can give him a run. They do line up side by side for the restart.
You saw each of them pulling off a tearaway. We talked about that in the broadcast yesterday. You want clear vision, obviously.
At least 2 front guys.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're not, you're like, well, I'm not going to see much anyway. Oh, this is good. They're lined up really nicely.
This is going to be good.
This is good.
And this is what people want to see, guys, you know? I mean, I know it's tough sometimes, but this is what they want to see.
That's right. Here we go. Green flag is waving. A great formation on the restart. Here they go into turn 1, and look at the visibility or lack there.
Oh, look at Sato. Here he comes.
Sato got him. How about that?
That was a nice move. He went in there pretty deep.
Everybody going to get through? Let's hope so.
Dario Franchitti got 2, possibly 4 wheels inside the curb in that first corner.
Wow, Kevin, a nice move by Takuma Sato.
And we talked a few minutes ago about how they gambled and went for the wet setup today. Their theory was, we're not going to catch the Penske's under equal conditions in a dry setup, so we're going to gamble, and it's worked out so far. It has not rained for the last 10 minutes or so, but the track is so wet. It is going to be wet throughout the entire race.
Yeah, I believe you're right on that one, Kevin. It looks like that track doesn't look like it's dried out. We see Marco has taken the spot from Briscoe.
Yep.
Hang on.
Look at Sato.
Right on Sato now.
And we have another full course caution as Sato was able to grab the lead from Will Power. Here's another look at the restart into turn 1. Whoa, there it goes.
Front car lengths deeper.
Nice.
On the
That was nice.
Really nice move.
Wow.
Well, you know, what has he got to lose? Good job. Wet setup. You know, we talk about cambers. That means the wheels are stood up more. You have much better braking. We just were talking about Graham Rahal.
Wow.
In the very same spot that Ryan Hunter-Reay had trouble.
He gets going again, however, although we are under a full course caution.
I think at this point, if I was Rahal, I'd be coming in doing whatever I can for rain. You know what I mean? I know you can't do everything you want to do, but if he's not on a wet setup, I'd be cranking winging that thing. I'd be doing everything I could.
Now they're picking pieces up from the racetrack. That was a black front wing. So there's been some additional contact out there.
Well, this is the first time that Takuma Sato has ever led an IZOD IndyCar Series race, and it is
Rafael Matos, whose wing pieces we saw there. On the front wing, you see Nova Skiing. That's a new sponsor for them, Brazilian beer.
Yep, in addition to their normal AFS, Automatic Fire Sprinklers sponsor. Nova Skiing is another Brazilian beer, as is Itaipava, which is the title sponsor of this race.
Bobby, you know, Randy Bernard said that the people at Delora told him the other day, we're having trouble keeping up making front wings for these cars.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the last year for this car, and they don't have a big surplus. And I'll tell you what, they're knocking them off right and left.
So you and I are going to start making front wings for these guys?
Dallenbach Fabrications.
Here's this restart again.
Now what you want to do is keep an eye on Dario Franchitti, and he of course is here in the spray, but he gets into the second part of this chicane side by side with Briscoe. We've documented how great Sato does, but right here they're side by side, and he has to take voiding action and go to the inside of the curve. So race control will have to decide if he had to do that to avoid contact or if that somehow was an improvement. Kevin?
Graham Rahal just came in and they only topped off. No change of tires. Obviously, there's not a tire wear concern with the rain tires and the wet right now. I had mentioned earlier that we're thinking about trying, or at least thinking about going the whole way without a stop if conditions allow that. But they were already at the back of the field running 6. The spin put them back to 17, so they're not going to lose track position for this, and now they're in a better situation. One other note, Mike Conway, who restarted in last as far as those on the lead lap today, he was among those that came in and topped off a little while ago. The thinking there was, well, at this point, we're only going to lose one spot on the racetrack, and now they're in position to possibly go the rest of the way.
And Mike Conway restarted this race in 20th position, the last car on the lead lap, and he has moved up to 14th.
I was just wondering what's the rule is if you're avoiding unavoidable contact.
Takuma Sato could become another first-time winner. The last 2 in consecutive races, Graham Rahal at St. Petersburg and Danica Patrick at Motegi. Of course, Mike Conway won the most recent event in the series 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago now, at Long Beach, California. You're watching the Indy Sao Paulo 300 from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Back in a moment. Getting set for a restart here at the Sao Paulo Indy 300. Rain postponed yesterday. Now we are in a situation where the track is wet. Rain in some parts of the racetrack, but not a heavy rain by any means. There are 51 minutes to go in our race.
Briefly, you may have seen Rafael Matos. He slotted out between the first and second place car, but he had entered a closed pit, so they have given him a drive-through. So now the positions at the front of the race are all those who are dicing for it. And we just had a little offline discussion talking about if your Will Power, and the way that Takuma Sato went down there in the first turn last time, Will Power, I think, had no idea that Sato could get in there that late and get by him.
Yeah, I think when he saw him flying by on his right side, he's like, ha, he ain't going to make this corner. And all of a sudden he made it. So, yeah, I think you're right, Jan.
1 to go to the green.
So does Will Power learn from Sato and say, now I'll be on the outside, should I try that?
Yeah, I think he's also got to worry about Marco.
Yeah.
I think Marco's going to be pretty aggressive here in the next few laps.
I just think that your mindset, if your Will Power, is much different than Takuma Sato. Takuma Sato, they've gone for a gamble. They've gone for a setup that works great, soft, in the wet. You have additional downforce. You take all the risks. You go for it. You get to the front. You just take all kinds of chances. I don't think that Will Power is really in a position to take the same kind of risk level that a Takuma Sato is, at least in these early stages.
And when the same teams win every race, like Ganassi and Penske, you take some chances.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what they're doing. That's, you know, that's what's refreshing about this thing so far. Then the Dallara guy sitting over there with the cash register and his little checkbook going, yeah, well, let's see.
Although Power's in a situation he hasn't been in a lot. That's all of a sudden he's in traffic.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, so that's another thing you got to worry about is like, yeah, you could be a little bit cautious, but now you've got guys you're racing with in the wet. So you put yourself in that situation where instead of going out and leading that thing and being by yourself, somebody can get into you, run into you. You could, you know, get into a problem. So the best place to be in one of these races on the wet is out front.
Absolutely.
Saw Graham Rahal make another pit stop as the cars will begin to form up in two abreast formation. Takuma Sato, the leader of the races from Tokyo, Japan. He's finished 22nd in this race last year.
EJ Viso, his teammate.
And there's a guy like Elio, needs to put a complete deal together. He's had a really rough year. If he can just come home with a good finish, that's going to do a lot for his confidence going into, you know, going to the Speedway.
Here's the Firestone onboard camera for Tony Kanaan looking back on the rest of the field. That's Alex Tagliani beside him.
They said Viso was polishing wheels last night. He should have been buying dinner, polishing wheels, driving people to the hotel.
Here we go. They are about to enter turn number 11. The victory hairpin.
That last restart was awesome. Again, they're bringing it up. Unlike Long Beach, where they kind of took things in their own hands, this is nice.
I was looking at Marco. Marco was waving a power to get up there. He was just pointing, get up there. I think you're going to see Marco right on the tail of Sato.
Okay, green flag again. Watch him into turn 1. Marco and Franchitti still side by side back there for third.
Just like
we got a spin. And that's Tony Kanaan, along with Rafael Matos and
all Brazilians.
Yep.
Anna Beatriz.
Anna Beatriz is
Three
the other.
Brazilians going across the paint.
No full course caution.
Viso, he got by Briscoe, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Viso up to 5th.
He cut that corner, Jan, the same thing, just like Franchitti did.
He cut the corner, but did he gain position? I'm wondering if he passed him after he cut the corner. We'll have to see if they try and take that one away from Viso.
Right. Marco's putting a lot of heat on Power right now.
Oriol Servia in the blue Telemundo colors. Kevin?
It'll be interesting to see. I would love to see a replay again of that EJ Viso turn through turn number 2. If you get all 4 wheels off the track, past the curbs, not only are you not allowed to pick up a position, you're not allowed to defend a position. You would have to give up that one position back. I can't swear that he had all 4 off, though. It was close.
Yes, Kevin. Oh, Justin Wilson's backwards.
Keeps it running, though.
And he'll spin it around and get going again. Wilson has had a tough day yesterday and today.
Now, to talk about the point that Kevin was just making about EJ Viso, let's take a look. Now, remember, we've already seen Dario Franchitti do this. So, of course, here is Viso's position. We'll let it roll. This is a very, very similar situation to what we had already seen side by side with Briscoe.
No, he went over the curve.
That looks like 2 wheels to me.
Yeah.
So that's legal.
Yeah.
And now Servia has moved to 5th in that blue car.
Wow.
Sponsored by Telemundo, and he is in front of EJ Viso. So
for now, here comes Viso.
He's 6th. Oh, here he comes to the inside.
I say because what is Servia doing over on that side of the racetrack? You're going to get in trouble if you try that.
You got to leave the inside lane available if you are under attack, and he is.
You know, they gave each other room. That was good. That was respectful. Servia's looking in the mirror saying, no, don't do it, don't do it.
On board with Ryan Briscoe and the eyes on onboard camera. Briscoe running in 7th position. Up ahead of him
Oh, look out. Ooh, that was
is
the same
Viso.
place that Hunter Ray got backwards twice this weekend.
That's a convention center that you saw on the left side.
Scott Dixon, target colors right behind him. He's been racy.
He's running 8th. Followed by J.R. Hildebrand, the top rookie at this point. Hildebrand running in 9th, and Tagliani is 10th. And look, the visibility is just almost 0.
And the backstretch it seems to be the worst place on the track for holding water.
Down to Kevin Lee in the pit area.
E.J. Viso was ruled to have cut the corner, so he was told to give up that spot to Oriol Servia.
Okay.
Boy, sure looked to us like he had 2 wheels on the curb.
Yeah, you can see the curb was right in the middle of the car when he went through that corner.
Hildebrand under attack in that National Guard car from Elio Castroneves, who is not on the lead lap. In fact, Castroneves is shown as 9 laps down. He, of course, involved in the early incident yesterday. The National Guard onboard camera here as we go down the straightaway with Hildebrand.
You can see even going through the gears how these cars break loose. They rear traction when you're on the throttle. You have to be so smooth and so careful right now. Everything has to be delayed, slow motion.
And you've talked many times about how rain is the great equalizer. Hildebrand now picking up 13 positions from where he started.
Justin Wilson and Danica Patrick at the back of the field. Justin Wilson is now still on the lead lap despite the spin. He's in 17th.
You know, Wally and I were praying for rain yesterday, but we didn't want a downpour. This is the kind of race you want right here because this thing's turned out to be pretty darn cool already.
Yeah, this is it, and it's fun. I mean, most drivers love the rain. I used to love the rain. Like I said, if you could see, it's fun. But it's a different type of racing because when you're in the dry, you know, you're driving and you're driving hard. But when you're in the wet, you're going half the speed and it's twice intense because your senses are every little break of that car, you've got to be careful.
Oh, and Franchitti blows straight. Oh, he's not going to make it.
Into the tires. Wow.
Something you never see.
Franchitti running at 4th spot.
Championship point leader in the tires.
Yes. The great equalizer. And the water.
Exactly. And there's a guy that never makes mistakes, and that's why he wins championships.
They've stayed green for now, but they're going to have to go. Well, I don't think you'd want to leave a car there on a local yellow.
Yeah.
Not at the end of a straightaway like that into turn 1.
No, because we've had a few guys use that same exact spot during the last day and a half.
But they can wait. Obviously, they can wait till the leaders come around to that portion before they make. Oh, he's still got it running. Because he's out of the tires now, obviously.
Or he had it running for a while.
Oh,
okay,
still going.
Yeah,
all right, so he's got a shot.
Alex Tagliani makes a pit stop. We see Rafa Matos' car there on pit lane, and he is now listed as out of the race. Here's a replay of what happened to 4th place running Dario Franchitti. Just didn't even come close to making the corner.
And paint, as we have had so many examples of, you get on that paint, there's just no grip. But he manages to keep the engine running and doesn't appear as though he has. Oh, and now Tagliani, who just pitted, is in trouble.
It's Danica Patrick going by him. Danica, of course, was involved in the initial incident yesterday at the start of the race. She's back in.
Oh, he just stalled it.
Yeah.
And we may have a full course caution because of this. Meanwhile, they're replacing the nose on Dario's car, and Marco blew the corner.
Oh, wow.
And a side-by-side, that's Viso getting by Briscoe.
So Viso picks up a position, moves up to 5th.
They haven't gone yellow yet. These are all still legal.
Yep.
Now it's yellow.
He has his visor, yes. Now we've gone full course caution.
He just broke loose getting into the corner.
And the only way, as you know, Wally, to get it back, when you have that, you have to let off the brakes. And when you do that, it speeds up. And then at this point, he's got nothing going on. Danica, same kind of trouble we just saw for Tagliani. Same spot that Ryan Hunter-Ray, her teammate, got into trouble. That's just really slick coming off that corner. Oh, okay, so Briscoe's trying to get by Viso, and they just duke it all the way through the corner side by side. Now, see, this time he stays definitely on. There's no question he didn't cut the curb there.
Contact there, it looked like, between Viso and Briscoe. And Alex Tagliani's car is not what I would call in a good position. Full course caution is out once again with just about 39 minutes to go in this race. Clock at the top of your screen is counting down to the checkered flag. This is a timed race and will not go the distance, which originally was scheduled for 75 laps or 190 miles on the 2.5-mile 11-turn street circuit. So it's Sato, Power, Andretti, Serbia, and Viso in the top 5.
And the more pace car running you have, the bigger the chance of having a no pit stop race. I don't think they're there yet, but they're closing in on it.
So many natural disasters have occurred in the last few months. Of course, we still are thinking about the victims of the tornado and the bad weather down in Alabama and surrounding states, but we also think about the earthquake in Japan. And Takuma Sato, of course, is from Japan, and he has told us on numerous occasions that his family is okay, but his heart is in that country. So Takuma Sato is leading here at the Sao Paulo Indy 300 on Versus.
Welcome back to Brazil. Takuma Sato is our leader in Sao Paulo. One of the Brazilians, Rafa Matos, unfortunately is out. What ultimately ended your day?
Yeah, very frustrating. You know, I was fighting very hard to finish this race, trying to take my time, but I got hit from behind on the last restart. And I was sent directly into Tony's car, and I was actually very lucky not to get hurt because, as you can see, his tire marks are almost at my headrest. So, you know, it's very frustrating, but that's how racing is sometimes. You know, we just try to regroup ourselves for Indy and try to do a better job in the next race.
What were the conditions like today?
Very, very difficult on the restarts. You know, I was just couldn't see a thing ahead of you, and very tough, very tough.
All right, thank you, Rafa. We'll see you in Indy. Bob?
Rafael Matos out of today's race. In fact, he and Ana Beatriz out of the race, and so is Sebastian Bourdais. So 3 cars are officially listed as out of the race, and yes, pit stops are occurring here.
Teams have made the determination with the amount of time left that they want to come onto pit road. Too much of a gamble to try and make it a no-stopper. So all the top dogs seem to be hitting pit road.
Sunoco fuel stop for Will Power as he comes in. He has the first advantageous pit stall. We'll keep an eye on Takuma Sato too. It comes down to the pit guys, and it looks like Will Power is going to get out of there first, and Ryan Briscoe right beside him. And then we see Oriol Servia coming out third.
Boy, Sato, did he stop?
I don't think Sato or Marco came in. Not sure.
Well, if he did, he has lost. No, he's still out there. Yeah, you're right. Sato did not stop. Andretti did not stop.
Or Viso.
And, yeah, EJ Viso. So those 3 are up front at the Sao Paulo Indy 300, still under caution. Back in a moment. Well, that was a situation earlier today, as just as the cars were on their pace lap, it started to rain again, so it was declared a wet race, and the track is still wet, but it's not raining, at least in most sections of the racetrack. We're getting ready to go green once again. Kevin Lee has a report from pit lane.
Takuma Sato has the advantage. He is one of those that did not pit, along with E.J. Viso, his teammate, Marco Andretti, who runs second ahead of Viso, and also Sebastian Saavedra. Sato is about 4 laps short, according to Jimmy Vasser. They are hoping things work out in their favor, but they did not want to give up the track position right now, so they'll see what develops, but they're going to need a lot of yellows to be able to get there, or the race ending up coming up a little bit short.
Well, Kevin, we've talked about gambling, and if you're going to gamble with a setup, you're going to gamble with the aggressive driving. Why not gamble on fuel, too? Go the whole way.
Absolutely. All right, here we go. Lined up side by side. Takuma Sato, the leader on the left part of your screen. That's Marco Andretti on the right as they get into formation once again. We got some great drivers running up front here. Andretti second, Viso third, Sebastian Saavedra is fourth, James Jakes is fifth, then Rahal. Here we go into turn one. So far, these
watch Viso. Watch Viso for second.
Oh, he runs over the curb.
And Marco went underneath
and Marco
the curb
did the same thing. Marco went to the other side of the curb again, but was that because he had to, because Viso was next to him? That's the third time we've seen that. The only one docked for a penalty so far was Viso. Oh,
and Scott Dixon has spun.
Still running. That's the same place he spun yesterday. That's coming off that first S.
Oh, look at this. Marco. Second place, Viso to the inside of Andretti.
Oh!
Wow, that was. Wow. Simona Di Silvestro running third in line. However, she is not, of course, on the lead lap.
Tony Kanaan was side by side. Of course, he's laps down. He's got to be somewhat cautious. And it looked like a move by Servia in blue, Telemundo colors.
Where is Will Power? Back in 8th position. Andretti still under fire from
Viso. Oh, I was going to say that Viso was on the power early, but look at this.
He's got a good run. Nope.
He can still draft. And remember, this is the same place where he lost brakes and went straight down the escape road into first practice. Is he going to try it on the inside of Marco?
He's got a good position. It looks like he will go to second spot. Oh, Marco will not give up the position. Off the corner they go, and Viso will have second. Wow.
That's the way you race in the rain right there.
KV Racing Technology drivers are first and second, Sato and Viso has come from 26th starting spot.
And their teammate, Tony Kanaan, he is laps down, but there he is just going through the frame. Tony Kanaan battling it out. So all three of the KV cars have speed. Unfortunately, we know that Kanaan started with a big deficit. Here's Power in a battle with, and now James Jakes gets himself in trouble.
New sponsorship on that car. Visit Orlando for Dale Coyne Racing. He'll get it turned around and refired.
And Power did get by Franchitti.
So Power up to 6th.
So kind of a battle within a battle, because you see the lead group that are gambling on fuel, and then you have to look back to this group here who pitted. One of those two groups is going to be having the proper strategy.
Yeah. Mike Conway in the 27 car.
10th? That's pretty good.
Yeah, he was, as we indicated, he was running at 3rd position, but in those few laps that they ran yesterday under caution, which counted, he had an electrical problem, restarted this afternoon in 20th position and is into the top 10.
Taking a look.
Simona Di Silvestro,
okay.
But she, like Tony Kanaan behind her, are laps down. Now she's going for it just like Tony Kanaan is. Yep. Not for position, but why not?
She is 9 laps down. And Marco goes wide, opening up the door for Tony Kanaan and the Firestone onboard camera. Kanaan back in 22nd, also 9 laps down.
So I guess he and Simona are battling for position, 9 laps down. Oh, and now he's going to go straight. Oh, can he stop?
Yeah, he made it. Kanaan missed the corner, but goes back onto the racetrack.
You know, for people 9 laps down, got to give them credit for not just riding around the back. They're trying.
We've got less than 26 minutes to go in this race.
Although I'm not so sure Andretti and those guys
Appreciate
would agree with you on that.
The top 5, Sato, Viso, Andretti, Saavedra, and Rahal in Sao Paulo. The race was postponed yesterday. We are running at Sao Paulo, Brazil today in the Indy 300, on board with Vitor Meira. Vitor, one of those drivers involved in the incident, and
Viso and Andretti still battling.
Second position being fought for, but they remain in the same order. Viso second and Andretti third. Now,
here he comes.
Yep. Nope.
Yeah, you see that starting to dry out in the groove, which is going to make it. There's still plenty of water to keep the tires cool.
We get down to Kevin Lee, who is standing by with Michael Andretti.
Michael Andretti is calling Marco's race. How close are you on fuel? He's got to talk to Marco for just a second, so we'll hang with him, and he wants to talk to a pit tech right now. So I'm going to let him do his business, and then we'll try to find out whether they can make it or not. One other note on Graham Rahal, who runs in 5th. Not too long ago, it looked like Graham was going to be in trouble. He has pitted 3 times. He came in, then he had to serve a penalty because he came in when the pits are closed. Then he came in again and topped off. He has been told he can use his push to pass, so he might be in position to win this race if the others that did not pit can't make it all the way.
And Will Power just passed Graham Rahal on the track, so Power is up to 5th. Let us point out that the first 4, Sato, Viso, Andretti, and Saavedra, more than likely are going to need a pit stop. And more on that from Kevin.
Okay, Michael, what are you checking with the pit tech about?
Well, Viso was blocking, and so, we just wanted to let him know. I guess they warned him, so.
How close are you on fuel? What do you need to make it the rest of the way without stopping?
We need some yellows. We need the track to either dry out and we go to dries, or we need some yellows.
Okay, pit tech coming back over to confer with Michael Andretti.
And they continue to battle for position.
And of course, anytime as a team owner you see the car that you're trying to pass on the inside half, and in fact, Michael, seems like the team has prevailed. We've just heard from race control. They're going to black flag Viso.
Wow. That's...
Wow.
That's a wow, yeah. What a drive from 26 to 2nd, and they black flag him.
That's where you wish they'd just make him move over and just give up the position,
And that's twice. That's twice that he's been dinged today. He got dinged and had to give that position back earlier by shortcutting the same place, almost in the same fashion we saw 2 other cars. Again, were those 2 other cars forced there? This one here, I guess if they've determined he went to the inside half of the racetrack, which they define very clearly in the drivers' meetings here in Sao Paulo, as they do every race, if you move to the inside half of the racetrack with someone behind you on a braking zone, we're going to penalize you.
Well, we were saying that Sato, Viso, Andretti, and Saavedra will more than likely need a pit stop before this race ends in 20 minutes, and that would mean that Will Power, who's running in 5th, would get the advantage. Kevin?
And we heard Michael Andretti say that he's not happy with EJ Viso. Feels like he's been blocking. Viso has been told you can't change lanes or you're going to be penalized.
Well, Kevin, maybe you have better information than we do. We were told that they're going to black flag. So if it's a warning, that's fantastic news for EJ Viso.
There's the black flag right there.
Well, okay, so we had the more current. Sorry, Kevin.
Okay, we told you that Will Power had passed Graham Rahal for position. Here's how it occurred.
Into turn 1.
That put Power up into 5th position.
I see, because they're saying that he's on the inside half of the racetrack and he's making Marco go around the outside. And from what we understand, that was not just that one lap, Kevin?
And Viso just rolled through pit lane, so he has now served the penalty. He's been told you've blocked 7 times, so he's been penalized. He did not come in immediately because they're having some radio issues and they couldn't get the message to him. But now the penalty is served, so Viso was in position to possibly win this race or certainly get a top 5. Now he goes to the back of the line, or at least close to it. I'm not sure how he'll cycle through because remember, this is a different type of pit lane scenario. You don't lose as many spots rolling through pit lane as you do at most other race courses.
And Kevin, I will say there's one other bit of information that you got. Simona De Silvestro, we've talked about being laps down now. Go ahead and get by Marco. He's got, you know, if she's fast and she wants to be racy, Marco left the open passing lane, which is what the complaint was Viso did not do. I was going to say that Michael Andretti gave us one other bit of very important information as Marco tries to come back, is that if the track dries, everyone's going to have to come on pit road and take tires. And so therefore, if you're the gambling strategy and everyone has to come in, you can take fuel and you've been saved.
I just don't think this track is going to dry out enough to put slicks on. I mean, there are parts of the racetrack right now that look really good, but there's also some parts, there's a lot of water on the track. So that's a tough call.
Little over 17 minutes to go in this Apollo Indy 300. It's Sato, Andretti, Saavedra, Power, and Rahal. Back in a moment.
Open wheel drivers now have a defined career path that leads them directly to the IZOD IndyCar Series. The Mazda Road to Indy provides drivers, teams, and sponsors an opportunity to gain valuable experience on and off the track, all with a clear-cut path of progression through 3 development series: the USF 2000 National Championship, the Star Mazda Championship, and Firestone Indy Lights, where drivers compete on the same tracks and venues as the IZOD IndyCar Series.
In IndyCar racing, it's all about speed, and the action happens in the blink of an eye. So you need something that helps you keep up, like IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. It lets you keep pace with in-race audio, up to the second leaderboards, highlights, and even driver tweets. Download it now! Before the season passes you by!
There's a reason why. In 5 years of powering every car in the Indianapolis 500 race, not a single Honda engine has failed. It's not the parts we make them from. It's the part we put in to every Honda.
Okay, you know you're gonna need new tires. It's inevitable, right? So why not get them from TireRack.com? With TireRack's online research tools, you'll know you're getting exactly the right tires for you, your car, and the way you drive it, all at a great price. Don't just change your tires, change the way you buy tires. The biggest selection of tires. One more way TireRack is revolutionizing the way you buy tires. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
Tony Kanaan makes a pit stop as Takuma Sato continues to lead. He has about a 6-second advantage over Marco Andretti. We have, however, seen that the Andretti team, the Andretti crew, is laid out, indicating that he will be making a pit stop very soon. Now, Will Power has moved up another position on the racetrack. That's Sebastian Saavedra, a rookie in the series, up from the Firestone Indy Lights. He passes him for the 3rd position. So Will Power is now 3rd. Saavedra is 4th. And by the way, E.J. Viso, who was penalized, came out in 9th position. There you see the interval between 1st and 2nd. The green and white car of Simona De Silvestro is not on the lead lap. Here's the 2nd place car of Marco Andretti.
And he should hit pit lane because pit lane entrance is in another turn and a half. And we saw just in the background, when we came back from break, that his team was laying out.
Like you said, we didn't see the tires. I would think they're going to go with brains.
There he goes.
I just don't think this place is dry enough yet to put the slicks on.
All right, Kevin, we'll throw it to you. He's got a long way to go at 50 miles an hour, but here he comes.
Andretti hits his marks. They are thinking about change? Yeah, they're going to the alternate, softer, quicker tires. These are the slicks. The track is drying, but pit lane is still very wet, so they got the top off of fuel that they needed. He wiggles a little bit as he comes off pit lane, and he's got a long way to go. He was pit in. This is the longest pit lane that we're going to see. He's got 50 miles an hour that he can go all the way through. Marco Andretti finishes his Sunoco fuel stop, and we'll see if he can get a break and get back in the chase.
Well, if he had his hands full before, they're really going to be
no kidding.
You know, with these slicks, you can see there's some dry there. That's fine. You better stay on the dry. If you get a wheel off the dry with those slicks, you're going to completely lose grip.
Now, Simona De Silvestro in second position there in the screen is actually trying to get by Sato to get a lap back. Now, it puts you, 8 laps down instead of 9, right. But, you're going the right direction. So
she'll still be in 20th position, but at least gets a lap back. Yeah.
And you'll notice these two cars.
A statement too.
Sure.
I passed the leader of the race.
You'll notice that these two cars are looking for water.
Right.
You'll see they're looking for the places that are wet to try and keep the wet tires cool. And so when you see people moving around, they have to be careful because you're looking for water, but you don't want the officials to think that you're trying to block.
But the difference between wets, you could run wets on water and a little bit of dryness. With the slicks, you can't run them on the wet at all.
We saw someone else peel off onto pit road. Here comes Power, then Rahal.
Yeah, Rahal has picked up a spot. He passed Sebastian Saavedra. And by the way, Andretti has come out in 15th position. It's still Takuma Sato leading this race, the Sao Paulo Indy 300.
Sao Paulo Indy 300 on Versus is brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series.
There's Marco, who is in 15th position on the slicks.
He's struggling right there on the slick. I don't think that was the right move to make. It's just not dry enough to have those slicks on.
Yeah. So watch Marco here. Yeah, he's having.
Yeah,
that's tough.
And again, you throw the dice on that, and the driver, you gotta make the call because you're seeing the racetrack. But I think that was. I think that was a tough call to make because there are some parts of the track that are really drying out. You think you could make up enough time on the dry part, but the problem is when you get on the wet part, you lose so much time with slicks.
But you have to think he probably made the call, right?
I would, definitely. The driver's got to make the ultimate call on that one.
Yeah.
You're the one seeing the racetrack and feeling the car.
Again, Takuma Sato, who was leading the race, had to make a pit stop, relinquishing the lead to Will Power.
But Graham Rahal, what a great move when he got himself in trouble. Remember, he spun and then went ahead as long as he didn't have track position to come in and filled up early, just topped off early. So that strategy, that's very similar to what happened to Mike Conway. Ran into trouble in Long Beach, came back and won it. Nice job.
Boy, it looks like these tires are becoming slicks.
Yes, good.
He's been on them for a long time.
On one of the shots, I was like, hey, he didn't change tires, did he? I'm like, no.
You know what, though, fellas? This is why racing is such a cruel sport. Because look how good Marco ran, and Viso and Sato, and they're not going to be rewarded.
Yep, that's right.
Well, Sato's still listed as 6th.
Yeah, but...
I mean,
Yeah. But he made a great outside pass for the lead.
Yeah.
Marco's driven his best race of the year, and he's going to end up way back.
Their finishing positions is not going to indicate how well they ran and how well they did. First and second right here. Here's Graham Rahal in the red, white, blue car. There is Ryan Briscoe in the Penske yellow, running in 3rd spot. Franchitti is right behind him with different colors this week. Kellogg's on the side pod and T-Mobile on the yellow rear wing.
Guy was in the tires a little while ago.
Will, let me tell you something, Wally. Will's going to get out of the car and he's going to be slapping his hands together. Yeah, well, I gained some points that time. What do you mean he finished 4th? 4th?
I saw him in the tires.
If they continue to run in this order, the points lead will change once again with Power back in the advantage by 14 over Franchitti.
This, of course, being still 4th position. Servia in blue, Sato in the Lotus colors.
This is for 5th.
Conway, that's for position as well. Conway in 7th.
Will Power, meanwhile, has lengthened his advantage to over 4 seconds over Graham as we watch this battle for 5th and 6th.
Now you want to keep an eye on the clock at the top of the screen as well, because there may only be around 3 laps to complete that 6 minute and change left. So there's not much, you know, it says lap 51, but when that clock expires, that's it. So only a few laps to go.
Justin Wilson has had a myriad of problems yesterday and today, and he finds himself up in the top 10, running in 8th positions. James Hinchcliffe, tip of the Stetson to him. He's in 9th, and J.R. Hildebrand, another rookie, is 10th. Then we have Saavedra and Jakes, 2 more rookies that are 11th and 12th.
And you really got, this is the point where you'll see who's managed their rain tires the best at this point, because when you run the rain tires on the dry part of the racetrack, it eats them up. Oh, Sato.
Well,
but what I was saying, you've got to find those wet spots and keep those tires cool, because when you get on the straightaway or these dry corners, it just chews the reins up. So although everybody's on reins, they're probably on different kinds of reins, just depending on how you manage them, how you kept them cool.
Sato looks like he's lost 4 spots by going through that painted area. Hinchcliffe, of course, smelling a loss of momentum, thinking, here comes another spot for me.
Good race, though, for the Canadian rookie, James Hinchcliffe, driving for Newman Haas Racing. I mentioned Stetson a while ago. Robin, is it going to be cool or what to have a double header at Texas Motor Speedway?
Well, I think that's, you know, you and I remember the 70s at Michigan and Trenton, and those were some of the best races in the world because they were sprint races, Bobby. And that's what, you know, one pit stop and everybody ran as hard as they could.
Yep, it's going to be great. Well, Takuma Sato led 23 laps before he gave up the lead. Will has led for 29 laps now as the clock is counting down and the number of laps to go grows very few.
And Power's picking him up and laying him down. He's almost 6 seconds ahead now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hats off to the team. They had to come onto pit road when a lot of people ahead of him did not, but they made the right call. You know, so much of Will Power's strategy obviously has been to stay out of trouble. And he has stayed out of trouble the entire weekend. I mean, he hasn't brought it home yet. But he's got to now make the transition to ovals. That's what tripped him up last year. And he was certainly not short on speed last year at Indianapolis, that's for sure. It was the pits that was his undoing.
Down to Kevin once again on pit lane.
Bob, as you know, pit lane is in a location where you really don't see the racetrack. I've made my way towards victory lane, so now I can see the racetrack for the first time today. I'm standing in turn 3. I can see turns 1, 2, and 3. Just saw Marco Andretti come by, and I have no idea how he's making it. Alex Tagliani was right on his rear wing. Andretti just tiptoeing by. The track is nowhere close to dry. There's still small puddles, standing water here in turns 1, 2, and 3. So that's pretty impressive that Andretti has been able to keep it between the lines as we watch Will Power come through turn number 3 right now.
Well, he's lost 30 seconds in about the last 5 laps, Marco Andretti has, by putting those slicks on. I think he came out of the pits about between 30 and 35 seconds behind the leader, and now he's 63 seconds. So
yeah, he's
definitely not the right call to put those slicks on.
Last car on the lead lap in 15th position. This is Oriol Serbia that we're watching in 5th position. The blue Telemundo sponsored car from Newman Haas Racing. Right behind him is Mike Conway, the winner at Long Beach.
The time remaining now is less than it takes you to complete a lap.
Yeah.
So we know we are definitely in the closing stages right now because they're running 1 minute 41 second laps, 1 minute 40 for Graham Rahal.
I looked for the white flag last time by for Will Power, did not see it. Look at this. The fastest lap of the race was turned by Simona Di Silvestro. How about that? Down in the 139 bracket.
Nice job.
Yeah.
And passed the leader in the process.
Yep. See the contrails coming off the rear wings, indicating the atmosphere is heavy with moisture. And this time, Will Power will get the white flag, indicating one more lap to go.
And they timed it out properly because the time has not expired, so you couldn't go checkered here. Now is the time to go white.
Paul Blevin waves the white flag, indicating one to go. Here comes Graham Rahal in second position. The interval now is just about 4.3 seconds. Ryan Briscoe running back in third. Good day for Graham Rahal.
And we certainly, when spoke to him yesterday, that he wanted to stay with a dry style setup, and if he survived this whole day with a car that didn't have much of a wet setup and brings it home second, hats off to Graham Rahal. That's a good bit of driving. He had a spin, but they didn't.
So did everybody else.
Yeah, well, of course, Power has stayed clean. He's one of the few.
But you said early on, Jan, if things break right, he could do this whole race and not stop, and he did after those 3 under the yellow.
Yeah, topped up early, didn't need to.
The time has expired, and now all Will has to do is bring it through the last few corners. He's approaching corner number 10 that will lead to the backstretch. Looking down a long straightaway, longer than the straightaways at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Reaching almost 180 miles an hour under dry conditions. We started things yesterday here at Sao Paulo, Brazil, with Will on the pole, and we had to postpone the race until today. He's in the victory hairpin, off of it right now. And when it comes to racing on the street and road courses, you simply cannot beat Power. Will Power wins here at the Itaipava Sao Paulo Indy 300. Second position, there's Graham Rahal. Third is going to be Ryan Briscoe. And fourth, Dario Franchitti. The race is finally over, and there still are some raindrops on our camera lens, indicating that this was indeed a very frustrating weekend for some of the drivers. It's always disappointing when a race is postponed from one day to the next, but this was a really, really good event here this afternoon, or this morning, I should say. It's Will Power's 11th career win and his second win of the young season, and his second consecutive win on the streets of Sao Paulo, Brazil. The race has been run, and Will Power emerges as the victor. Graham Rahal pulling up behind Will. He finishes in second spot with Ryan Briscoe, the third member of the podium.
Will Power talked before the race that he was hoping for rain. He had 2 days of rain to negotiate, and obviously did it without any mistakes.
Whenever you're ready, just jump in. Come down, Will. Right here, Will. Go ahead.
9 guys coming.
Sigh of relief. And Power emerges from the race car, and Kevin Lee is there to talk with him in victory lane.
Will Power stands on top of number 12 Verizon Wireless Penske car, celebrates with the fans here in Sao Paulo. He started from the point in every race. Now it pays off. And the Power leap. Well, you've been wanting some good luck. You've been wanting to just not get hit. and you did it today, and that's a pretty big accomplishment today.
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome race. You know, so many different track conditions, and it went back in the pack there on that stop in the middle, and just happy for Verizon, Meyer, Shell, Honda.
Good job.
There's Ryan Briscoe.
Same, brother, same. Yeah, it's just a great job. Really happy to get the Verizon car in victory lane again. Been on pole 4 times. We've had 2 wins, so it's a great start.
Well, yesterday you were out front, so you didn't have to deal with the spray. Today, because of your early pit stop to come in, you had to trail some other cars. What was that like when you finally had to deal with that?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. You know, I slowly started picking people off. The spray wasn't as bad as yesterday. I mean, it was, you can see that it's sort of dried up a little, but yeah, it was a matter of keeping calm, getting past people without any mistakes, and then pulling a gap to be safe.
You guys came in early. What was the thinking from a strategy standpoint? Did you ever think about trying to go the distance like a few did, or did you want to get in and play it on the safe side?
No, I think the conservative thing was to come in. We'd known that Dario had taken tyres, so he was going to go to the front. So we thought we have to play off him since he's leading the championship. So it's a good strategy by the boys. My boys are doing such a good job in the pits. They're all pumped to win the championship this year, and we just got to keep plotting away here and see if we can gather more and more points every weekend.
4 races, 2 wins. As we mentioned, you've been the quickest in qualifying in all 4 events. How hooked up is the 12 team right now?
12 teams really hooked up. I mean, it's just, you know, it's the second year together, so we're just more relaxed about it, enjoying it, and just going a weekend at a time, not really thinking of the whole picture here. We just plot away, get points, and see what happens at the end.
13 points is your advantage now in the championship on Dario Franchitti. Now you head to Indianapolis. Now you head to the oval stretch. 14, actually, is the points lead, I'm now told. You were really pretty competitive on the ovals, just did not get results, and you were better than the results showed last year at Indianapolis. What do you expect this year at Indy?
Yeah, I think that, like I said before, we're all more relaxed on the 12 cars, no question. And, you know, in the last 2 years, we've been in a position to challenge for the win at Indy, so I think we're going to be really fast, going to be fine, and really looking forward to the ovals. I really am. I've been thinking about it a lot, and you know, I can't wait to get on them.
That 9-hour flight back home is going to go a lot better for you now, correct?
Yes, I love it.
Well, 9-hour flight's nothing for somebody from Australia. That's just simply like a commuter flight. Will Power wins here in Brazil.
All right, Kevin, thank you. We still got a lot more interviews to do and a lot more things to do as we continue to celebrate breakfast in Brazil as Will Power wins the Sao Paulo Indy 300. Back at Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Will Power wins the Sao Paulo Indy 300, the 4th race of the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series. Kevin Lee down there on the front straightaway talks with the 2nd and 3rd place drivers. Kevin?
And we'll start with Graham Rahal. That was adventuresome. You started, I think, restarted 5th today after a good qualifying effort on Friday. Then you had the spin. We thought you were out of contention, but you guys almost stole this one.
Well, it's kind of the same thing as St. Pete when I won in 08. Actually, Will hit me, and I spun, and because of that, we got off sequence. We were lucky that we were quick enough there at the end that we were able to keep up with Will, but not let Ryan close in, because we had to save a lot of fuel. But really proud of the Service Central guys, because they could have been so down on us after the spin. We were trying to play it cool at the start, and unfortunately, because of that, we lost a couple spots. But to recover like this and to leave Brazil in conditions like this with a 2nd place heading into Indy, I can promise you nothing feels better.
Yeah, I'm wondering what this does for everybody's spirits, how much you need a result, and you're one of many that needed a result. It's Power and Franchitti are the only ones that haven't had anything massively go wrong so far this year.
Yeah, I think the Service Central guys, we've had a lot of bad luck. You know, we've found ourselves in situations that I put us in. We've also been taken out a couple of times. So those types of things happen, but unfortunately we're 4 races in now. We needed a result, and we're very fortunate that the race continued today, and we got one, and we're getting full points, and we'll be able to move forward with a good result here, and obviously on into Indy. Indy's the most important thing, so it will feel good coming off this.
I think I'm hearing that you went from 21st to 9th in points, so nice job, Graham Rahal, with a good result here today. Let's find Ryan Briscoe now, who comes home in 3rd as he visits with his crew, and I mentioned the Will Power before. I understand that he hasn't had a perfect season. He got hit at Long Beach, but still got a top 10 out of that. Ryan, let's talk about your day here. Survival, podium. You'll take it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think, you know, it was good strategy, and we kept our nose clean. There was certainly a lot of havoc going on around me for a lot of the race, but at the end, you know, I got past Dario down into the hairpin, and then I was trying to catch Rahal, but we're doing about the same lap times, and we didn't change wets on that last stop, and I think these other guys probably had slightly fresher tyres, so I was sort of hanging on a bit, but it's a great day for Team Penske. We got the Penske Logistics car in third and the Verizon car in first, so really good for Team Penske.
All right, Ryan Briscoe comes home in third. A good finish for Penske. They started the weekend with their crew not arriving until Friday, a 48-hour travel window because of the devastation in the southern part of the United States. It reminded us of Sonoma in 08 when their transporter caught on fire, and they still finished 1-2. They'll settle for a 1-3 here this weekend, Bob.
Okay, Briscoe finishes in third position. Rahal second, and Will Power wins here in the streets of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And we'll have more in a moment. In the Sao Paulo Indy 300, Ryan Briscoe's team are the pit performers, spending a total of 1 minute and 50 seconds on pit lane. Congratulations to the Briscoe crew for being our Firestone pit performers of the day. All right, while we line up some more interviews downstairs, let's do our race recap here. Jan.
And of course, the day started on slicks with it raining. So you're like, okay, just get through the Samba S's here and then go straight to pit lane. I need rain tires because the timing was not ideal at all. But amazingly, everyone made it onto pit road, got the wet tires with no contact really or issues until lap 20. First was Sebastian Bourdais. Couldn't get the car stopped in time. Wasn't damaged, but for some reason climbed from the car. Ryan Hunter-Reay passed that very location of Bourdais and then whoop, in the same spot as yesterday, identical, knocks the rear wing off for the second time. Lap 25, of course, is the restart. Watch Takuma Sato aggressively around the outside and takes Will Power for the lead. Fantastic driving on a wet setup by Takuma Sato. Unfortunately for him, later on pit strategy would cost him. Lap 29, one of the restarts, and there you get a good look at Viso shortcutting. It doesn't look like the car does come up like we first thought over the curbs. He had to serve a penalty. 3 Brazilian drivers have to go across the paint and take shortcuts. So Viso had to give the spot up while Sato was leading. On 32, Dario Franchitti can't get it stopped. He released the brakes. He got in, got a little rear brake lock up, tried to bring it back, but amazingly, he got that refired and finished this race 4th. Now, pit stops. This was what Will Power was just talking about, a conservative pit strategy. Race with his teammate Briscoe off. That's, of course, Servia in third, then Dixon. These were the cars that took the conservative strategy that paid, because up front, there was trouble for Viso in the fact he got a blocking black flag, and, of course, he had to first do a drive-through, but later ended up having to make yet another pit stop for fuel. And this was the pit stop, fuel only. He did not decide to go for slicks, which turned out not to be a great choice by Marco Andretti. Unfortunately, that gave the lead, at least from the standpoint of Sato, that gave the lead back to Power, who had a flawless day, had one close moment with the walls. Otherwise, he was picture perfect.
So let's take a look now at how they finished. It was Graham Rahal's best finish in second position since his win in St. Petersburg back in 2008. Oriol Servia, his 4th top 10 finish this season. Justin Wilson had his best finish of the season, and J.R. Hildebrand was having his best career finish. The rest of the rundown, we see 15 cars on the lead lap when the checkered flag dropped, with Charlie Kimball 1 lap down in 16. 3 cars were out of the race at its conclusion, and some very big name drivers back there in the final 5 or 6 positions. The podium consists of Will Power, the winner, Graham Rahal in second position, and Ryan Briscoe finishing in third. Briscoe on your right. We'll be back in a moment with more from the Sao Paulo Indy 300. At Sao Paulo, Brazil, the trophy handouts have begun. Everybody gets a trophy. Well, Lisa Moniz de Silvestro does. She ran the fastest race lap and so gets a trophy. So does Tim Cindric, president of Penske Racing. Ryan Briscoe gets one. Those are really cool-looking trophies, too, aren't they?
Very nice.
There's Graham Rahall's second-place trophy. And needless to say, the biggie goes to the winner of the race, Will Power. You can download IndyCar Mobile only from Verizon. Text Indy to 3406 for video recaps and more after each race. Kevin is with Marco Andretti.
Bob, Marco had an opportunity to win or at least come close. He was running in the top 3 much of the race. You guys gambled that there would be some cautions and you might be able to make it. Sounded like a solid gamble the way cautions were going, but we ran the last long stretch of this race green. How frustrating.
Yeah, it figures, you know. We figured in the rain, I mean, because it's so easy to make a mistake, but the quality of drivers nowadays is awesome, so no mistakes were made, and we went green. I mean, at the time, I guess the strategy made sense, but, you know, after a bit of a roller coaster weekend, you know, my teammates kicked my butt in qualifying. We were able to pass some cars yesterday in the rain. And then it would have been nice to capitalize, but what are you going to do? But, you know, right now I think myself and the Venom crew were coming for Indy.
Once you had to come in, your chance to win, finish top 2 or 3 had gone away, but you went to the slicks and you lost some more time because of that. What was the thinking there? Was that your call? Was that from the pit strategy, hoping that the track would dry out?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not sure whose call it was, but, you know, it's at that point it didn't really make sense to go to slicks because then you risk putting it in the wall. I mean, it was pretty diabolical, but, you know, what are you going to do? On to the next one.
Well, the next one is Indianapolis, where you have had great success. You're always quick. How excited are you about another opportunity at the 500?
I was ready after the checker flag last year. You know, to me, there's one thing left to do there, and that's win it.
All right, Marco Andretti heads back to Indianapolis, trying to capitalize and put another Andretti in victory lane.
Thank you, Kevin. Here are the point standings. The top 13 all changed positions. Graham Rahal, the big mover, gaining 12 positions. And Serbia is up to 3rd in the standings. Will Power, by the way, has 8 bonus points, while Dario has 2 this season. Will Power leading by 14. Just the difference in bonus points almost doubled his lead.
We have talked a bit about people who ran into trouble, and we've said a couple of times that Dario has not. Well, he had it today. Remember, he got into the tires, managed to get himself restarted again, finishing 4th. So now none of the top contenders have been contact-free, you should say, this season.
Kevin Lee has Takuma Sato at a great race this afternoon.
Very entertaining day for Takuma. You wanted this race to be in the wet, correct?
Very true. We came here expecting to have a competitive, speed, but we weren't. I mean, honestly, after practice and qualify, clearly we needed, we want a position to challenge on top group in dry. But yesterday, on the wet condition, it made me really happy. I was never driven in a wet in IndyCar, and I never used this wet tire, but I was immediately comfortable and I got a confidence, so I really enjoyed.
Tell me about getting by the Penske guys on track.
It's an exciting moment, really is. I mean, I knew they were really quick, but at least that I was so comfortable and I was really able to manage everything. And once I got on the top, I really did a massive fuel saving. Just watch the mirrors and taking a gap, and we were successfully made a lot of fuel save. But in the very last pit stop, strategy issues that we didn't make it, and which caused us a real problem in the end.
Yeah, you gambled on going with the wet setup. That ultimately worked out. You gambled on you might be able to make it. Who would have thought we go the end of this race without yellow? How many yellows laps do you think you would have needed to be able to go without a stop today?
I don't know. Obviously, one more yellow should make us, because I only needed 3 laps. And I did a massive fuel saving. So that engineer was sure, but then there is some miscalculation of fuel or something. And honestly, we weren't we didn't need it position to make any gamble. So without anybody's help, we have to stand by yourself, which means you need a fuel, of course. But that's we can say now after the race. So obviously the team crew and team did a fantastic job, outstanding job this weekend, and I really appreciate, very happy with the team. Just didn't happen, didn't make it, which is extremely disappointed.
Still a good run, 8th, along with what he did at St. Pete. Takuma Sato now already has 2 finishes better than anything he had last year in his first season in IndyCar, Bob.
Yeah, his 8th place finish does not indicate by any means the incredible race that Takuma Sato had in Sao Paulo. We'll be right back. The Indianapolis 500 is next on the schedule for the Eyes on IndyCar Series. Our coverage begins with Pole Day, named in honor of Tom Carnegie, the longtime public address voice of the Speedway. We're on from 11 to 2:30 and then 4:30 to 6:30 on Pole Day Eastern Time. Sunday, the 22nd, Bump Day, noon to 6:30. Then Friday, the 27th, coverage of Carb Day, final practice, Firestone Indy Lights, and Pit Stop Challenge. And then don't forget the 500 Festival Parade at 5 o'clock on Saturday. And don't forget also all month long, Tuesday nights, afternoons actually at 4 o'clock, IndyCar Open Wheel Weekly. Down to Kevin Lee.
EJ Viso started last, worked his way all the way up to the front, running as high as second. EJ, you were running second when you were penalized, given a drive-through for blocking Marco Andretti. Your take on that call?
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful with the team. We suffered a little mechanical failure, and we put the car in the wall at almost 200 miles an hour. The car got totaled, and we didn't. The spare car was not ready on time to qualify, so we started last. We made it up to second. The team gave me a great car. And basically, I just got penalized with the drive-through penalty, which I considered very unfair. I don't respect that decision from the series. It's a wet race. All I was doing was braking in the dry. I never wave, I never block. And if they say the opposite, I want to see, because I was pretty much doing what everybody was doing. So I got a drive-through penalty and started overtaking cars again, but at that point it was pretty late in the race.
All right, thank you. And unfortunately for EJ Viso, he has to settle for 13th after a good run today, Bob.
Once again, an update on the point situation. 14 is the advantage for Will Power as we go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway over Dario Franchitti. The big mover today, Graham Rahal, gaining 12 positions, finishing in second in the race. And Kevin is still down in the garage area and hoping to get with Dario Franchitti for a word here.
What's taking him so long?
Really? It's not like he's been running around all day and all yesterday, too. Okay, Kevin.
Well, Dario, nice jog over. I know you're laughing at me. I can run, and I'm going to run 13 miles next Saturday, but I normally don't have a big pack on me. You survived. I think that's the name of the day.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the busiest night in show business today. Yeah, it was survival for us. I made a mistake. The visor was a bit fogged up, but I misjudged my braking and went in the tires. Struggled a little bit to get reverse. It's amazing how long 2 or 3 seconds is when the adrenaline's going. Yeah, and the yellow fell right for us. We got back into it, and yeah, we got some decent points, but really just survival. There was some odd moves at that last restart. Graham jumped from the left lane to the right lane and passed 2 cars way before the start finish, so I'm a little confused about that. Had I known, I'd have tried the same thing.
All right, we'll look to see you to Indy, where Dario Franchitti could become a 3-time winner.
For more on the information on the Eyes on IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. For Jan Bikas, Wally Dallenbach, Kevin Lee, and Robin Miller, I'm Bob Jenkins. See you in May.
Nice job, Bob.